like bearded Jake Gyllenhaal and G.I. Joe's The Fridge just kind of look at each other and they look at me and they're like, all right, we got this. They grab me and my chair, just like pick me up, walk up these stairs, and like just here you are in this rad booth with like candlelit tables and like all this like mood lighting and gold and blacks, and they're like, cool man, you need anything? And I'm hi, welcome to the table. So occasionally I like to go out and do things. You know, occasionally you want to see a movie, or sometimes you want to go to a cool restaurant. Sometimes there's events that are happening, and I travel for concerts and I travel for shows, and there's a lot of cool stuff that happens around conventions and around the gaming space. And, you know, so a lot of times I find myself in these positions and getting these really awesome invites to some really, really cool parties with people that I enjoy hanging out with. They're friends of mine that I hardly ever get to see, maybe like once or twice a year. So if, you know, they're like, hey, we're doing this little off-site event when you're at Gen Con, like, hey, come out, I want to say yes. But sometimes it's really difficult because sometimes those off-site events or even on-site events with these bigger conventions aren't always super accessible for like somebody like me who uses a wheelchair full-time. This weekend, right? That is not the case. Something really amazing happened. So there was this thing called Day Shift, which is it's like a 30 plus party, right? It's not really a rave, but it is sort of like a club vibe atmosphere. And they do music and they do the confetti and the smoke, and they have a really entertaining DJ. It was a ton of fun. And you know, my wife and some of our friends, it was like, hey, let's go do this Day Shift thing. And I was like, where's it at? And there's we were in Virginia at the time, and it was at a place in Norfolk, Virginia, and it was called the Granby Theater. And immediately I'm like super dialed in because I like historic buildings, and this building had been around since like, I don't know, 1915 or something. It's like this really beautiful historic building. One of the times we were in town, we had been there for like a murder mystery thing. And that was a lot of fun. It was like a murder mystery dinner, right? And they had these long tables. And I know that the space is this like ancient building, right? It's, you know, it's old. It's from 1915. So again, very old building. And you know, I know it's not super accessible, and like to get in, the egress is like very rampy. And in a chair, sometimes that can be a struggle, but you know, I do well for myself. It's a manual chair. I can make that happen. But I didn't know what that was going to look like. And it always gives me some trepidation because it's like, if I show up to one of these spaces and we get tickets and we go and everybody's excited, and then like you get there and it's like, oh, you can stay in this like one little area and you're not involved. You're not like dialed in where everybody else is dialed in. Like, how is that going to feel? And for me, it feels a little awkward. But I'm used to it. Like at this point, I'm so used to it. I've gone to industry parties where it's like I can be on the first floor, but there's a giant slide upstairs and a bunch of arcade games and people doing crazy face paint and cartwheels and stuff. And it's like, thanks for inviting me. I'm not eating because I can't get to where the food is because there's stairs or whatever. And, you know, as beefy as my arms are, I can't, monkey climb up. Like Donkey Kong up to get, some calzone or something from the second floor. So we get to this venue. I'm a little nervous. And, it sounds great. They give you these little light up sticks. They're a ton of fun. The Day Shift people really do a nice party. And we get inside, and it's beautiful. This building's gorgeous. I did not take in the full splendor of this Granby Theater place the last time we were in town at this murder mystery thing. I mean, it's got like rad gilding on the walls. I mean, you could do like a dinner here. You could do like a wedding here. You could do, a company party. All sorts of stuff would look really rad at this place. I'm not affiliated. They're not paying me anything for this. I really like old buildings. I like the way they look, and it's difficult for me to get inside of them because aforementioned, I use wheels. So we get inside, and there's the lady at the door, and she's got like these little glowy sticks. They're just giving away like the little glow sticks. that they're foam and they've got the lights up inside and a button that changes a couple of the different like light pulses that they can do, which is novel and fun. They're not super expensive, but I mean, still, like, that's day shift free stuff with your ticket. Like, it's just, that's cool. It's cool, man. So like we go in and I mean, this building is gorgeous. I'm gonna say that a lot. We go in and like the floor that you can get to, right, without having to do stairs and stuff, is not huge, right? It's not big. It's like a large living room size floor. I mean, you know, in a big house, but it is big, but not dance floor big or anything like that. And there's a bar on either side, which is rad. And they had like a table set up towards the back, and then they had like 3 beer pong tables. I don't know if they were doing beer pong with them or not, but they had the plastic cups and the little ping pong balls and the long tables. They had 3 of those set up. And there were people milling around, a lot of people at both of the bars. That's awesome. And then there's like really steep staircase down to like this first landing where there are like booths, like private booths, right? That overlooked some stairs that went down to the big dance floor. And then there's the stage. Super cool setup. Looked beautiful. But I'm already starting to like, am I gonna have to sit by the bar? Like, oh no, what's gonna happen? And this, you know, so 2 of the people that we were with, one of them, she goes off, she's amazing. She goes off and she talks to somebody, bartender or somebody. And that lady comes over and she was super polite. She's super nice, very chill. And I'm always really nervous in these situations because the last thing I want to do is come off like I'm entitled or I need somebody to do something extra for me or like upset somebody, because I kind of came up in a space where it's like you should be seen and only when they want to see you, and really not heard. And like if you make yourself an inconvenience for anybody, you're the problem. So that's always like back in my mind, no matter how much you get away from that time in your life, like that's really difficult to reprogram. So you're trying to have a good time, you're trying to have a good night, you got to keep that happy face on, because if you appear even like slightly like, oh no, something's wrong, then for me, the anxiety kicks in and the worry is like, oh, they're going to think I'm like one of those people you see on Instagram who's like yelling at somebody and stealing some kid's baseball or something. I don't want to ever be that person, because that's not who I am. That's not how I'm built. I'm trying to like lead with an abundance of joy, even in the face of like overwhelming gloom and dread. So this lady comes over though, and she's really chill, and she's like, we've got ramps and it's totally fine. And I'm like, oh, rad. And the ramps are like probably the ramps they would use to get like a keg from up here to down here on a steep, you know, staircase. They're like the ramps that came on like those old G.I. Joe toys with the ramps that flipped over and made the little bridge. Like they're steep and metal, and they kind of have a cheese grater pattern. So I'm a little nervous because I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna pitch forward and this is gonna be a mess. But I'm gonna make it work because like we're here and we're gonna roll with it. We're gonna make it work. It's gonna be fine. And this dude shows up, and like, I don't mean this in an objectifying way, but he looked like bearded Jake Gyllenhaal. Like this man shows up with like a rad shirt, you know, like rad button up. And he's just a very casual looking dude. He's super chill. And he's got with him like what looks like, and again, I don't mean this in an objectifying way, but he's got like a guy with him who looks like he could be this generation's like G.I. Joe's The Fridge. One of my friends over at Comic-Con, my editor, he's a big football guy, and I've often referred to like G.I. Joe's The Fridge as just this big dude, and he's always like, football people know who this guy is. But he was this really big, like, I mean, the guy looks like he could pick up a car and just hurl it, right? So like, you got bearded Jake Gyllenhaal and like G.I. Joe's The Fridge, and they're like, cool. And like very chill, like super just, I'm not a little person. And they're just like casually like helping me get down this ramp, like in front of me, and I'm just like, this is impressive. This is like an impressive level of strength in like a nightclub with like lights and like cool, you know, disco balls going off and the music's solid and there's like flower animations on the screen and stuff. All this stuff is happening. There's people laughing and dancing and drinking everywhere. And these dudes are just like, not a big deal. We got you. Totally fine. I have no idea who these people are, right? So then we get to this landing. And there's more stairs to go up to, like, I guess where they wanted me to be in this little booth area, which is super cool because I didn't know I was gonna get to be able to chill in a little booth area, like looking over the friggin' dance floor. I figured I'd be back up with the bars, like, way up in the mountain place where the Grinch lives or something. And they're like, they didn't even set up the ramp. Like, bearded Jake Gyllenhaal and G.I. Joe's The Fridge just kind of look at each other and they look at me and they're like, all right, we got this. They grab me and my chair, just like pick me up, walk up these stairs, and like just here you are in this rad booth with like candlelit tables and like all this like mood lighting and gold and blacks. And they're like, cool, man, you need anything? And I'm like, I'm so grateful that you just did that without A, making me feel bad, or B, making a big deal out of it, or C, causing a spectacle, or like anything that makes loud noise. Because lifts make loud noises and there's all this stuff, and they draw all this attention to you. And it's impossible to feel like everybody else, especially when you show up in a chair, because like people are already staring at you. And like, Bearded Jake Gyllenhaal and G.I. Joe's The Fridge are just like, cool, man, like, I have a good one. Like, Bearded Jake Gyllenhaal's like, yo, I get it. Like, I completely understand. I've had some stuff that I've had to navigate. I'm not gonna tell you his story. It's not my story to tell. But he's like, I've had some stuff that I've had to navigate. Totally cool, man. No big deal. Made me feel like golden. Like that K-pop Demon Hunter song, right? Like, just, I felt amazing. I'm like, I don't think, I look over at my wife and she's just very like, you're good. And I was good. I was great. I was fantastic. It was a great time. And we had a couple of drinks, nothing crazy. And, it's so rare that I get to just do something that's not work related or, that isn't hindered by whether the way the building's built, or wires on the floor, or trying to access stuff. Like, accessibility is like this thing that I have constantly struggled with, even like trying to figure out going to places like Gen Con or SDCC or New York Comic Con or PAX Unplugged. Like, you gotta like call and talk to people and figure stuff out sometimes, because like I understand that as someone who works in the space isn't always as welcoming for me. Not me as a person, not like me as your old pal Anton, but like me as like a person who shows up with wheels instead of on feet. I get it. Like, I mean, it shouldn't be that way. And there's people who will say like, oh, that's not how it should be. And I understand the sentiment. I appreciate the sentiment. I think it's a lovely sentiment. It's super rad that people feel that way, who are friends with me. That's probably why we're friends. But at the same time, like, it's a 100-year-old building, or it's a gigantic convention center with bajillions of people showing up, all paying hundreds of dollars for tickets. Like, I'm a person, right? I'm just a unit in the spreadsheet of incoming commerce and information and everything else. And there are some really rad PR groups, and there are some really rad companies who I've worked with who make those sort of accommodations, and they're super cool. And we'll probably talk about them at some point because they make me happy, and that's the point of this channel. But I really wanted to just like take a second and shout out this Granby theater place. I'll put the location, here. Because these guys, they above and beyond. And this is the fun part. This is the wild part, right? Bearded Jake Gyllenhaal, I have no idea what his name is. That guy, apparently the owner. Apparently he's the owner of the theater. That's what the nice lady who was working with the MC DJ guy told us as we were leaving. So, had people to do stuff, and still like just, I mean, we're talking like action movie smooth level, like, not a big deal, we got this, I'm not gonna make you feel weird about it, I'm not gonna make it awkward for you. And like, I've been in situations where people have done me a kindness and I've deeply appreciated it, and they've made it very performative. And like, I just appreciate that somebody's done me a kindness. So if they feel like they need to get some social cred for it, totally rad. But this dude, like, this seriously, this guy was like epic. Like, for that alone, if you ever find yourself like we do sometimes, like randomly in Virginia in Norfolk or whatever, give Granby Theater a check. Like, they deserve it, because that That was super cool, man. It made me super happy. And I really appreciate it, like from the bottom of my heart. So yeah, I hope you find something that makes you happy today too. We'll talk soon. Okay. Bye.